This is the Underground. Underground World News Live here on this February 7th, 2025. What is going on, everybody? Good evening. As always, glad that you're joining me here for this one. I want to thank D. White, Kev Bar, Hoodie Ross, Tacos, Tooch, Jade Helm, everybody out there that shares the stream. It's appreciated to the fullest. That's just who I see over there on the X feed. For anyone that shares it elsewhere, it's appreciated to the fullest. You get it in front of eyes that I can't reach. I'm heavily censored. Much love to all the purebloods out there. Yeah, don't buckle, as Silver Sailor says. And Doug sliding in, gifting 10 memberships, man. Thank you, and thank you for the feedback, Steve. I appreciate that, and for everyone that received it, welcome to the Underground. If you got anything you want to get to me tonight, Dabu7@yahoo.com or at me in the chat at Dabu77. Thank you, Alexander. And yeah, we're going to get this thing going. Got a lot to cover. Going to start off with a report of, we've got multiple plane crashes to report on, let's put it that way. I'm going to mention, though, here first that apparently 4 dead after a U.S. military contracted plane goes down in the Philippines. Lakeville, thank you for gifting the membership as well. Eon in the house. Lazy Larry, Jeremiah, Mike, Stewart, IG, good to see everybody. This is just, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of crashes. And just within 8 days within the United States and everything going on there, it will have been 3. You know, they say things come in 3. So rest in peace to the folks that lost their lives in that incident going down to the Philippines. And thank you, G, for the super chat. Much love. Appreciate that to the fullest. I want to turn my attention here to what is no longer a search. It was at first said to be potentially a rescue mission for potential survivors. But it looks like that's not the case. It looks like everybody perished on this flight that mysteriously went down, and we thought it went down over the ocean. The flight radar is kind of weird. We're going to take a look at that here in just a second on this. But it was carrying 10 people. This was out of the Bering Air hangars. This is an Air Cessna 208B Grand Caravan. The pilot, 9 passengers. They say that it disappeared from the radar screens while over the ocean. That's what it showed. It had departed from Unalakleet at 2:37 p.m. And they say that communication was lost about an hour later. Get a little bit more data here on this. I'm just going to jump over to the flight radar on this here real quick. Well, actually, let me show some images here real quick before we do that. I want you to see kind of what this plane looks like. Right there is the plane in the picture, and Bering Air is the business they were operating under. This was Air Flight 445, although over here on Flight Radar, it's not listed as that. They got a completely different number, and I basically had to go to the airport, and then I had to go to the airport where it took off from, then I had to go through its inventory, and it's different selections. And then I got to a certain class, which I matched up to right here, the Cessna 208B Grand Caravan. They have like, I don't know, 15 or more, or 17 of them. So I started clicking on them, trying to get information, and I clicked through a whole bunch, and I finally found the one. But at first glance, it didn't look like it was the right one because it completed the flight and it showed it as landing. But it's just not the case. I'm going to show you this image here real quick, right here. This is important. This is where they lost it. They say that it cut out right there. There's all the details on the screen. It was heading toward Nome. So it cuts out right here. Now remember this spot. Remember this X right where it cuts out, because that exact spot where it cuts out, it does something strange. And look, the color even changes on the map here. Here's the plane. I'm going to hit play. Zoom in just a little bit there. I'm going to hit play, and you're going to see it jump forward. It's not going to be flying like normal. It's going to skip real quick just to the end. So be ready. It's going to do it fast. Here we go. It's tracking, it's tracking, it's tracking, it's tracking, it's tracking, it's tracking. And right when it goes to change color right here, right near where the X was, it jumps right there. It does this quick jump. So that's odd. That's not normal. For whatever reason, this is tracked it. Instead of just disappearing, it shows that it picks something else up, that it's calling the flight landing at the airport. Alexander, thank you again. Appreciate that to the fullest. They show it landing and even have a land time. But this was the only flight that took off from out of there, from Bering, heading toward Nome. It was the only flight. And it does a crazy jump right where it disappeared. So this is it. It's just another weird anomaly. Like, why? Why? Anyhow, they have found the missing plane. It's no longer missing. They found the wreckage. And I tweeted out information on this. They say that at this point, all passengers are deceased. At first, they were saying like 3 people were deceased, and they weren't saying anything about the rest of the people. It was kind of weird. Maybe they had to get an identification on bodies. It could be pretty horrific. It was mangled up, but potentially survivable. We've seen crazier here in the past year or so. We've seen dozens of people survive back of a plane crash. It's all about the situation, I guess, but a rest in peace to these people. We don't have much information on who all was on board yet or what could have brought them down. I didn't see any reports of maydays or emergency calls being made. There was nothing like that. It's just that it quickly disappeared from off the screen. And if it was having issues from where it disappeared, it was out over the water. That means it was coming down and coasted to where they found the crash site outside of Nome. They're on land. So it was able to coast and drift and drift and drift till they at least got to land. And it looks like they had the belly down on the mountainside. Unfortunately. Let me grab this image. If I can find it, I wanted to share another image with you. Yeah, here it is. All right, so again, rest in peace to all the souls lost in this. Right there. So I believe it says something. It looks like maybe A or something 32, and the number right there to get identification on it. But it's definitely the flight that's down. There's only one flight going from that airport to Nome, coming from Bering Air. So yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like everybody perished. Again, I don't have any details on who was on board. But man, we've been seeing this a lot. We've been seeing some weird anomalies with these crashes when it comes to flight radar. Well, the DC one, it was showing what should have been a helicopter. It's always a helicopter when it's supposed to be a helicopter. It was showing it as a plane, which was very weird. But the way that it was maneuvering and jumping toward other aircraft, you knew that it was a helicopter that they were tracking. Now this, we know that this thing's crashed and in flight radar. I mean, what does this make this up out of thin air? The data to show it landing at the airport just makes no sense. Anyhow, that's the latest. With that, as I get updates, I'll tweet them out. Thank you will get to the fullest for that super chat. And hopefully I'm not reporting on any more crazy crashes here soon or at all. Unfortunately, death is a reality we got to face every day. I've got one here to report on. Music producer and big executive in the rap game back in the 90s and 2000s, Irv Gotti from Murder, Inc., has died at the age of 54. Kind of took some people by surprise. Say he's kind of young age, but they say that he suffered from several strokes. He was dealing with heart problems that was all related to his diabetes. And a lot of people didn't know that. So oftentimes when I report on things like this, it seems like that's what it ends up being. Like the public really didn't know the extent of the illness. And I seen some interviews with him here in the past year or so, Art of the Dialogue or something like that, and he just seemed really, I couldn't put a finger on it, but it was like almost like something was bothering him really bad. And now I know he was dying. So anyway, love him or hate him, R.I.P. there. Another one's passed away, so let's go to space here. We've got a very active sun. It's popping off shots. It's popped off 20 M-class solar flares, including 2 that have almost reached X status here this week, all from 3981, which is rounding out around the eastern limb, and it can still, the way that magnetic poles and everything works, when the energy comes off the sun's eastern limb, it's got a really good shot at swinging back and hitting us. It's not the same as when it comes around the western side. So when you've got a really active one, man, even when it seems like it's going out of range, it can still affect the planet. So nothing incoming as of right now, except for Starlink satellites. You can see this image right here. This is them coming in over Puerto Rico. And they're saying that they're at an all-time high in terms of re-entry, that Elon Musk is just cranking these things out. Just new ones are going up every day by the dozens. And this means that about 5 to 10 could be coming in per day on average. At least 5 to 6 every day coming in and burning up in the atmosphere. So you've got all this. They don't always burn up. So you've got debris coming in. You got people that witness this stuff and start freaking out because they've never seen it before. Still to this day, people see Starlink for the first time in the sky and they're like, what is that? And they freak out, but there's a lot going on up there. That's, our government and the world's richest man. Jeff Bezos is in on it too. The Chinese are getting in on it. There's mad satellites being launched. Just wait till Space Wars kicks off. Gonna be UAPs crashing in your backyard then getting shot down, right? Yeah, I'm getting to that there, Cloud Games. Right here. Funny you said state of emergency declared. That's a synchronicity. You said that state of emergency declared in Santorini after quake swarms are rocking the island. They're saying 7,007 couple weeks. The strongest registering of 5.2, and that's good enough if it hits at the cap of a volcano to pop it and to make it explode. We've seen it before many times. So I would watch this one. They're telling people on the island, and there's a lot of people that live there. There's like houses stacked up, like it's a little paradise, whatever. You see right here. Here, I'll just play this bottom clip real quick. Get a look at it and see what they're saying.
The seismic activity, which began at the end of January, has led to the evacuation of thousands of residents and tourists from the popular Greek island. Authorities have deployed emergency services, including fire departments, police and Coast Guard units, to assist with the situation. The state of emergency is expected to remain in effect until the beginning of March. The seismic activity.
It's kind of funny that she laughed herself there when she said they're deploying police departments. Because, fire departments, what is anybody really going to do if this thing fully erupts? Anybody that's even on the island will be dead in the area that it erupts. You've got all the stuff that goes into the underwater as well. Basically ancient calderas. And who knows, man? They've been popping off a lot here lately, so when they start rumbling and they've got hundreds and thousands of earthquakes, it's a sure sign something's going to happen. So you may not see Santorini in the future, or parts of it, like this whole place right here with all these houses stacked up, all this unnatural weight right up on the cliff's edge. Man, that could just slide right off, sheer right off into the water. We've seen it in the Canary Islands, and it could cause a tsunami if it does that. But that thing erupts, that's going to be the least of the worries there. A tsunami wave from that collapsing. Like, that thing erupts, it's going to send out a huge shockwave. But all right, here's a positive. They're now saying that lasers can now cut the lifespan of nuclear waste from millions of years down to 30 minutes. And this is quite astonishing. That these pulses, when you get them up to 10,000 times faster than normal, it can basically modify waste at the atomic level. And that's pretty wild, but I could see it being possible. I'd like to know with all the byproducts. I'd like to know all of it, like what all the details of it. But that's huge. If you can cut nuclear waste down in from millions of years to 30 minutes. That's pretty huge. How long they had this technology? Probably a minute, I'd say. But they're basically using super fast pulses of radiant light that goes in there, and neutrino light, which is some of the fastest, most dense and mysterious light that there is out there. Neutrino light is the light that is said to be given off of a craft, which you would call a UFO, UAP, a real one, that steps down between dimensions. It's the flash of white light that is given off when a real one, if you've ever seen one on video, blips out, and it's stepping down or up in dimension. And that's what it gives off. It gives off that burst of neutrino light. They track that. They track it. They track that with satellites. And they know if they see these blips, these bursts at a certain frequency of neutrino light, they know that it's the signature of a vehicle coming in or going out. It's one of the two. And if they're coming in, this is where you see choppers get sent out, scouring the countryside, looking for something, see if they could see something visually. Because you can't pick them up on radar, as you know, or should know. So, but you can pick them. You can pick up the burst of neutrino light. So there's like a huge net around the whole planet by the military and the governments, and this has been talked about by others. This is how it works, and you may have seen the footage out there where it looks like they're shooting at an object in space, and it literally stops dead in its tracks. And it takes off the other way. NASA tried to write it off and say, "Oh, the thrusters kicked dust up out there or something and shot it the other way." And nah, that's not what happened in the clip. It's obvious. There's a burst. There's a flash. Like when you shoot something, there's a flash. And just like a couple of milliseconds later, you see this object, like what they shot, go hurling right at where this UAP or UFO was in subspace. But it dodges it. Like right as, I guess, the pulse of light was given off when they were shooting at it, this thing knew, and it backtracked. It turned around and it went the other way. It was a giveaway. They try to cover these things up, man, but they're here. They're here. They're tracking them all over the place. And the bad guys have been here the whole time. I don't know why people forget about it so quickly. And I mean, just, they landed on Mount Herman, the whole thing. Like, the fallen are here, man. They've always been here. Yeah, even, who was it? What's his freaking name? Carlson. Tucker Carlson. He came out not long ago and he said flat out, this, in one of his segments, flat, like, they're here and they're under the ground and they're under the water. They're in the ocean, on the ocean floor. And that is true. And it was his job to drop these subtle breadcrumbs to the masses, the millions that he reaches that are listening. And he did so. And it's the truth. They're here. They've been here the whole time. They are the fallen. So whenever someone comes along that doesn't want to mention this, kind of like Greer has shown up, and he wants to say it's ET, they're aliens. He wants to keep saying it, but never wants to mention they're fallen. Never wants to mention the fact they've been here the whole time. That's where I smell deception on him. So someone is shutting down all the nuclear silos. It's definitely not the guys giving them the weapons, the ones that have been here the whole time, the ones that are in the dumbs, underground, at these military bases, working with them. It's not them, it's somebody else. I'm telling you, it's the good guys. I'm telling you. They're shooting at someone, and it only makes sense. They're so evil. Everything here is evil. They're all wickedness. There's a hierarchy of it. The opposite of that is good. There's a yin to every yang. So there has to be a counterbalance. There has to be, just by default, scientifically, there has to be an opposite to it. And I think it's the good guys. It's somebody observing that goes in, shuts down their weaponry, checks them. This is checkmate. Like, look, we got you. And they geek. They wouldn't be geeking out in those instances, sending choppers out, doing any of that if it was them, if it was their stuff. Yes, there's times where they escort UAPs and stuff like that because it's part of their arsenal. But these other times where they're authentic, they're not. There's more to this. There always has been. What I think is just so... here's a one that'll blow your mind if you've never known it. When it comes to Roswell, we've all been shown the pictures. They used to show it all the time, but they stopped showing it as much that I could tell because of what I'm about to tell you. The general, whoever was in charge, that's in all the photos, they came out saying, look, it was weather balloon debris. And he's sitting on the floor next to the debris in their very famous photos. He's holding a piece of paper in his hand. And they didn't realize, back then that it would ever be a big deal. But with today's modern technology, you can read that paper. And that paper tells the truth. Bodies. Crash site. It says it all right there on the paper in his hand. And they never knew. And it's the dead giveaway. He wasn't a general. Whoever he was. All right. You get what I'm saying. He was the one to present it to the people. That was all over History Channel and everything else. So, yeah, ancient aliens, whatever. That it was a lie. It's a known lie and a cover up, and that the paper actually said these things. They zoomed in and they decrypted it. They seen what it said, and showed it. And that was a startling moment right there. Like, look, like, busted, and they can't go back in time and change that. So, how did they take down some of these craft? Some of the stuff that Wood Greer and them are saying at the black sites is real. They are materializing like this stuff in front of it, like a wall, and they're hitting it, and they can do this 1,000 times, and then one time maybe they get lucky. When they see these things coming, how do they know they're there? They pick up the neutrino light, but they don't know where to shoot it exactly, like how to hit it, right? Because they move so quick. They know that they come in around the base, they're observing, and they keep seeing blips of light. So all they can do is they were trying to hit them with frequency and all this other stuff to try to disorientate it in the atmosphere to try to bring it down. But then they were able to just materialize, like it's described with Roswell, like a wall, basically, a foreign object, out in the middle of wherever, and hit it. And it was enough to tear it apart, and that's where the whole thing of Roswell came from. But Roswell was just one of, at this point, thousands of events that are going on. And a lot of these aircraft that we are seeing out there are man-made. They're government-made. And, I want to see what Greer and them got. Quit beating around the bush. Just do it. Drop the goods, damn it. Like, show the whole damn world. Like, come on. Like, it feeds more into, like, a huge operation with what they're doing, drawing out like this. And who would do that? Like, just drop the goods. Like, if you're every day that you hold on to, like, pictures of the bodies or video of the bodies, you would think in real life that, like, your life would be endangered. But no, he's showing up and going to all these talk shows and doing all this stuff, and it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense how he's still breathing anyway, if it's all these... I question things like that, man. when other people have died for way less. R.I.P. Phil Snyder's. And such. Alright, gonna keep it pushing. LG Electric Rangers getting recalled. Wanted to throw this out there in case you got one. They're causing a fire hazard. Apparently, even animals can reach up on it and like accidentally hit the button and turn it on. And this can happen while you're not home, whatnot. It's been responsible for 28 fires, and it's resulted in minor injuries and multiple pet deaths. So again, this is something that's happening when people leave. The deaths are like dogs that like maybe reach up on there or are tall enough to get up there and hit the knobs, and then maybe there's something sitting on the stove. It catches it on fire, burns the whole place down. Animal can't get out. It dies in the mix. Just saying. You figured that there would be a better safety feature. All LG appliances are junk, says Joe. Well, I'm just passing it along, man. I don't want to see people have an issue. And they're saying that microplastics are being found in the brain. That brain microplastic weighs as much as a plastic spoon. This is how much is being found in people's brains these days. This is crazy. So it's everywhere. It's in everything, everywhere, these microplastics. But yeah, when you've got as much as a plastic spoon like this mixed in with the brain, not a good sign. I think on the last one, I told you how we were talking about the attacks, and there was a farm that got taken out, it was an area that had 200,000 eggs. They got wiped out in a fire. That's what it was. Well, now they're saying 100,000 eggs stolen in Pennsylvania. Police trying to crack the case. And it's like, where are you going to hide them? And man, how do you got to be careful with that. It's not like you can go on some high-speed chase or anything else with a bunch of eggs. So yeah, chickens. Man, when I posted on this stuff the other day, so many people were just so proud to say, not me. I'm not paying because I got chickens. But I salute all you guys. That's good to see. Good to see everybody out there that's got their chickens going. There's a ton of people that responded and said it. And everyone's got a different setup, but it's a good thing to have in crazy times. And I know some people's stores are stocked well. They're not emptying. But other places are. Other places in bigger cities are emptying out, and they're buying them up. So I seen one clip where they were just going and taking them. Like you would have thought they put a limit, but it was Costco or something like that. So it was like, I guess they can get things in bulk. I don't know. I still would have thought they would have had some kind of limit, man.
This is a crazy story at 6:30 for you. This just coming into our newsroom. State police investigating after 100,000 eggs were stolen from an egg producer in Greencastle. $40,000 worth of organic eggs stolen from Pete and Jerry's Organics on Saturday. Troopers say the eggs were taken from the back of a distribution trailer around 8:40 p.m. Anyone with information asked to contact state police in Chambersburg. I buy those eggs at the grocery store.
So, you can see someone's out there got a plan to flip them up. I'm sure that's why they did it. They had a plan to sell them somewhere, somehow, and not get busted. They must have some hustle, some little corner shop somewhere where they're sliding them out there. Something. They're only going to last for so long before they're going to have a bad situation on their hands. So it's kind of crazy. Never heard of an egg heist of that magnitude. Till now. All right, let's let me jump into a quick weather update. If you guys don't know, they're about to hit us with another crazy ice and snowstorm. It looks like it's going to pound the upper Midwest, New England, everyone that just got hit. You're about to get hit again, they're saying. 2 to 3 feet of snow expected in the next 10 days across the Northeast, including NYC and Boston. 24 to 36 inches. Some models were showing 54. That's, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. Wow, that much snow, how long it would take for it to melt off. Man, that last ice storm that hit us, man, we couldn't get the car back up and down the mountain to have it to use for a month, man. From the ice storm. So, because my driveway is a mile-long gravel driveway, and you can't just shovel it. It's trickier business. And a lot of it's in the shaded area where the sun don't hit it to melt it off, so it was tricky. So I can imagine 2 to 3 feet of snow. Dude, I wouldn't be seeing nobody till April if we were alive. Oh my, that's just crazy. I don't know how people do it, man. Hats off to you. That's not my cup of tea. No, it's not. I'd rather be in a warmer climate. You spend any amount of time in the mountains throughout a winter, and it may be different if it's 2 or 3 feet of snow inner city, and you got people hitting the roads and clearing the way out for you. Ain't like that up here in these mountains. You got nobody coming to help. Natural gas blowing up. It's gonna happen. If you've got it, I'd be thankful. If you've got natural gas on your property, be very thankful. This could turn into a gold mine for you. Let alone a lifelong energy plant. I've said this before, and I don't know if all of you've heard it, but there's a device out there called a gasifier. You can write it down, you can look it up. They've got books on it you can buy, and you can build this gasifier. And what it does is it combusts different materials like wood, coal, all these things, and it will make this gaseous output, so to speak, that'll come out a tube on the other end, and you basically feed that into your generator, and it'll run it. It'll run the generator, it'll run all kinds of different stuff. And if you've got a huge supply of coal, or an unlimited supply of natural gases coming out of the earth that you've tapped into, you can keep that gasifier going constantly. And it will keep converting that natural gas. Most generators will run off natural gas anyway, as well, these days. So it's something to think about. I don't know, man. It's a gold mine. If you've come across property or have property that has coal and natural gas right now, especially under this Trump administration, I see it going through the roof. Look at these charts. I see all of it, just, especially in the wintertime. These are things to think about. Remember this. If you're somebody that's investing in stocks right now and you're trying to find a way to make money, there's certain things that happen all the time that they happen yearly that you just need to get accustomed to, like this, like every winter. If you would have got in early on the natural gas, in the summer, it's definitely going to spike in the winter. And look at now, it just ran through the roof. If you would have been invested, it'd have been huge gains. And it's almost like a common sense thing. It's okay, natural gas, winter's getting bad, worse, whatever, engineered. This is going to happen. The demand is going to go through the roof. So you do things like that. Just like hurricane season's coming in, you know that it's going to wipe out certain products, and the cost of those products are going to go through the roof. You invest in those products right beforehand, just as others do, and when the price goes through the roof, you're making a gain. You see what I'm saying? These are gimmies with the season, with hurricanes, with bad weather that you can be capitalizing on. Okay, it's just a handful of gimmies, gimme bets every year. You could be making some kind of money on. There's some people put money in stocks and CDs to make a profit for like a whole year, just to make 5-10% on their money. Boy, I'm telling you, it's made every day out here. You imagine that you'd be somebody lock their money up for that long to make. That's what people do. Put it in CDs, put it in these things, because that's the only thing offered to them out there. But I'm telling you right now, it's a crazy game out there in terms of what's going on. I want you to know that there are patterns in everything. And if you can learn those patterns, you can capitalize on it all day long. You take time to do it. I'm telling you, it's there. I know it. I've seen it. I know it. You're gonna see from here on out. I'm gonna end up doing some things and showing some things. In terms of the economics, instead of just talking about it, I'm gonna end up showing some things. Pulling up some charts, some trading view charts, or just some charts of whatever, and just showing some stuff in action. And then you can see what I'm talking about. It's better to show you to be able to visually see what I'm trying to explain here. But coal is going to make a huge jump as well. Look at this. America's electric grid at risk. And what do we got? Coal to the rescue. Again, I can't help but think, if you've got a piece of property, it's got coal and natural gas on it, it's going to be worth some money throughout the next few years for sure. Because, the Trump administration did just peel back everything, left the climate pact, did all this crap. He is the one that's bringing the whole thing with coal back, which means that all these coal facilities they have a potential of being reinvigorated. And he said it's his number one goal, the energy here, and the coal's huge. This could potentially mean the resurrection of coal country here, which would be huge for, you know how many states that would make rich? It's quantum. Much love. Thank you for that. It says silver, silver, silver. And I agree. Much love. 228. If he opens it up like that, where all these coal mines can operate again, full scale as they were, it doesn't just mean that you burn coal, but you're selling it. And you're selling it around the globe to buyers from around the globe. And see, what our federal government has done is they came in and they shut that down. They stopped the states from being able to survive off their God-given rights. They said, oh, no, you can't do that. Climate crap, all part of their climate agenda, right? Trump's jumped out all that. He's gone the opposite way with all of it. So it opens doors. It opens doors for all this to be resurrected. I'm telling you, if states are wise and smart, they would fully resurrect it, because it would be like a modern day gold rush throughout many states. You know how many states have gold? So many states would prosper. And our government, our federal government, stopped us from being able to sell or do anything and effectively shut down coal countries into it. But guess what? Our government is still selling coal. Oh, see, hold on. How is that? How is it even possible? Like, you shut down the whole operation here. How are you still selling it? And as I look at the paperwork and the numbers, your number one client is China. So you stopped us from being able to sell our personal stuff on the market to anyone, but yet you're over here on the side in the government mines, dipping into them, taking the coal out and selling it directly to China in mass, in record amounts. You don't stop and you don't say, oh no, shame on you, China. Carbon footprint, China. Not a word of it. Just sell it hand over fist to them while they cut us out. And that's what happened. That's what's happened. They effectively said, this is the move we're going to make to keep the states poor and to keep them in check. So if coal is revitalized, dude, let me tell you, it's heading that direction. It could change things overnight. Just like the deregulation of energy did, period. And people still don't understand that full scale. There's money to be made there. What is deregulation of energy? Well, energy was basically monopolized by just a handful of major companies. And years ago, more than a decade now, they came through and they deregulated the energy across America to where dozens of, hundreds of other people, smaller people, could buy chunks of the energy grid and resell them. It wasn't just a handful of juggernauts that controlled it and kept a tight price range. You now opened it, you deregulated it, you opened it, and you allowed all these other places to have an opportunity. And they could come through, they could buy it, and they could sell it for cheaper. And this ended up changing the market fluctuation. And what it meant is that people had an option now. And I watched guys, this is back when it broke my ankle. I had watched some guys turn around and basically they got rich and disappeared off of this whole thing. They went door to door, business to business, company to company, and they were knocking and they were like, hey, would you like to save some money today? Like, no scam. People are like, what are you talking about? Like, look, I know it's going to sound crazy, but if you just let me look at your electric bill and go over it with you, I guarantee you I can save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, especially if you're a business, because they just deregulated energy. And what this means is all the power companies, they had a monopoly and charged high prices. Can't do that no more. Smaller people can come in, buy chunks of the power, sell it to people at a cheaper rate, and that's what's available here. And it could save you a ton of money. If you lock in the rate for years to come, then you get that deal for all those years you locked in for it. Now, what this does is it creates a residual income for the guy going door to door doing this. And it's huge because he gets a piece of that for 5 years. For one person, he just locked in. Do you see the opportunity there? And again, the guys that I knew that got into it, it got rich and like disappeared. There's opportunity there in that. I haven't heard of anyone doing it here lately, but it wasn't nothing you ever heard of large scale. It was only like a handful, a dozen guys you ever heard of that ever did it, and they were all highly successful. They could still be doing it today. I don't see what's changed, except for maybe more opportunity, more places able to buy and to sell it. But it's changed these days. Hell, you can hook up a solar array and feed back into the grid if you're in the right place and make money. Feeding power into the grid. Think about it like that. It's crazy. Well, check this out. Tesla's sales fall 60% because EVs are falling apart. And watch this blow. The whole EV game just got zapped. The Department of Transportation halts all funding for electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So somebody go grab the guy that just bought the EV and is paying it for the next 20 years. All of them. And explain to all of them that you're screwed because not only every day and every week are the thieves out there cutting the copper out of the cables out there in the very few charging stations that are out there. Now you're not going to get a replenishment. Now they're going to be so hard to find. This is going to kill it. This is effectively going to kill it. What do you do if you're someone that is locked in to a car loan on one of these now? What do you do? No one's going to want to buy it as soon as this dawns on everyone. They're done. These things are garbage. These things that sit there in them vehicles, they're going to rot. You can't charge them. You have to get it towed somewhere. Towed to where? The closest charging station? Like, where's that going to be? In the middle of Oklahoma? Like, not even enough power to drive it home. Might as well just get it towed around everywhere. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's done. It's dead. He killed it. He killed it. If you don't have the infrastructure and you don't have the charging stations, it's like killing all the gas stations out there. Cars would be done. It's effectively what he did. So, EVs are done. I feel for anyone that made an investment, though. That's not fair. There should be some kind of refund or something there. Charge at home is an option, I guess. Radio face to a degree for the people that gotta travel and do things and want to go cross country or anything like that. Go to another city. You gotta stop and get gas. You would have to stop and charge up. Only vehicles that I ever heard that were any good were the hybrids. The hybrids are gas and electric, and they charged while you were like cruising in like cruise control, whatever, on the highway. They like charged themselves. It was a different type of system, so you didn't have to do none of this charging up crap. It was way more convenient, and it seems like it worked better. I never heard anyone bitch about one of them. Got really good gas mileage because it would switch over and just coast on electric or whatever for however they work. They're very economical. But that's a mix. You know, and I could see where that would be good. But not all electric. That's like a golf cart. All right, look at this. Let's jump into the jobs real quick. I told you, and we knew, the Biden regime was lying about virtually everything. And they're getting roasted on it. They should be held accountable. You should be able to pull them into court, and they should be able to get hit hard on what they've done here. So they lied about everything. All the jobs numbers, all of everything. And look, what's it say? It says over 1 million foreign-born workers found a job, and not a single native-born person in the job revision. Can you believe that? Meaning, none of you out there can hear me that were born and raised right here in America. There was no native-born jobs added. They didn't go to none of us Americans that were born and raised here. Foreign-born workers is where all 1 million went to. I'm not making this up. These are the true numbers. This is a setup. This is an absolute setup at the highest levels. So many different angles, man. And it has been. The Great Replacement. In the end, they don't want none of the humans anyway. Can't you see they got Terminator robots now running around, which is scary as hell. They're actually here now. All they have to do is just throw the gun in their hand. And for some reason, they're stopping from showing you those visuals. They'll show you the damn Terminators running and falling and getting up on. and all this other stuff and doing crazy crap. But they don't want to dare share that imagery yet. Because when it dawns on all the people that Elon Musk has his own army, he made it. That's right. He made it. He's got a complete, just like Terminator, whole army of these things. And some master AI overseeing it. I mean, hell, he's got Grok just on X. Mr. Neuralink has got an army. And if he armed it, I bet you they could take over full cities and towns. That's scary. And they could do it right now. People just don't realize. They're here. They're here. And you see Kim Kardashian and all them flaunting it, trying to say it's a new cool thing. You got to get you a robot. You got to get your robot. Well, these robots are like, Boston Dynamics, type, like military grade. It's getting scary, man. They don't need us no more. That's why I think it's very high in the rankings of what's going to happen. It's going to be they're going to release a deadly pathogen. I think that's it. I think it's always been it. It's always what's been scared the crap out of me. It's what's got me to. I dropped everything in my life to get prepared for that. And I feel like with Gates' newest comments of within the next 4 years, I think that was him telling us to keep move the goalpost. We somehow have bought us a little bit of time. That's not going to happen here in 2025. That it's going to be sometime in this presidency of Trump's, for sure. And that's without a doubt. And I just don't understand some of these people. I dropped some truth bombs. You guys knew that. I don't hold back, even on Twitter. And you get some of these people that, I guess, sit there in the shadows all the time and never say anything. They get butthurt. They finally come out and start to say things. Like I dropped some stuff today about the whole left-right paradigm, which all you listening to me, you should know, left-right paradigm. But they still don't. I don't know, man. There's a part of the crowd out there that's just so locked in their ways that the truth could smack them stone cold in the face and they wouldn't know it. It's just how it is, I've learned. It's unfortunate. Sometimes those people come back around later. But, man, majority of society out there getting led astray. We're a remnant. We're really a remnant to the millions and billions that are out there just getting led astray. Technologically. And again, robots, AI, they don't need us. So I fear that they're going to try to get them deagle numbers at some point. I think the plan was by this year. Even Deagle was like kind of foreshadowing that. I'm hoping we pushed it back. And by all accounts, it should be bird flu. That's what they telegraphed, and that's. I mean, California is already in a state of emergency over it. Let's not forget about it. Talking about jumping the gun. So you know that it's the next thing. I guess it's not hard to do. Look at the title of this one. Americans are the most scammed people in the world. How can that be? You know what that says about us, right? You got to be pretty ignorant, pretty naive or gullible or all these things to take that title. The most scammed. Are you kidding me? And a major target, which we are. But man, lowrider coming in with 10 coffees. Yeah, I wonder how many people listening will plug into Elon Musk's Neuralink. It's a good question. I'd like to think that no one following or listening in would ever do that. You guys have human morals, and you just know biblically, that's mixing the iron and clay, and like all this stuff it's wrong. It's the transhumanism thing. It's again taking away from us as people. If there's any humans left, they just want to use the carcass to like plug an Neuralink into. Seriously. That's it. He can make robot armies, but like if there's going to be human ones, they want to plug the Neuralink into. Like if they had it their way, 20 years from now, there wouldn't be many humans left. Like just regular normal humans. They would be like phased out by the same people that's up there hoorahing on stage in this election and everything else. It's disgusting. The masses just, I guess, overlook all these things with him. All the statements where he really stands. Some things I can never get over. I'll never get over Hillary for prison. Which I could sit there and argue with people all day, but to what end and why? If, he's, this whole thing with Trump, 4 or 5 years ago, someone would said this dude's the Antichrist, false prophet, or something of that nature. Yeah, even now, I'd always say, but the fact that they have called him the Gentile Messiah holds a certain, it's like means something, okay? Their Messiah is in Israel. Like right now, their man is performing miracles. I say it all the time. He's here, and he looks to sit in the new temple as soon as they build it. He is here. It's documented. The Yanuka. I've talked about it. We've showed it the whole nine. And the rabbi said that he is going to sit inside the temple and that they have declared Trump as the Gentile Messiah. He will deliver America to the new great power of Israel that's basically going to be the vocal hub, the center of the world. Is how he put it. That's their goal. And their Messiah is not Jesus, man. It's not Yeshua. It's not. They don't believe that openly. They don't. And these are the people controlling Trump. Okay? And J.D. Vance and all the other stuff. So, I mean, look, man. You're either awake or you're not. Most people get to this spot that voted for the Trump side, and it's like a line in the sand. You've got a choice to make. We've been telling you this whole time it's left-right paradigm. But, like, Mr. Warp Speed, again, you seem to forget all these things. No one ever wants to apply any of the negatives to the Gentile Messiah. And that's like a Messiah complex. That's dangerous. It's I've never seen anything like it. And then to add the Hopi prophecy of the red hat people into it, the great white brother, it has to come from the turtle, which is North America, which it's only happened once. And it's Trump with all of his red hat people, and you know it. Can't be the Pope, can't be anyone else. Has to be the leader of Turtle Island, which is North America. So many people twist things and try to make things that just can't be. He fulfills so many prophecies. And I've told you, we spent a whole end of a stream one night going through just the biblical prophecies that are connected and tied into Donald Trump alone. Not even touching on the out of the biblical, like crazy anomalies about the story of Little Bear and Trump and everything. It was written over 100 and some years ago before him or Bear and anyone was ever brought into the picture. It told of them to a T, living in New York to a T, the whole nine. Like they are fulfilling something that a certain people's put into motion. Okay? And he is the living, breathing of that. For these same people to declare Donald Trump the Gentile Messiah, I'm telling you, he's got so much power now. It's just, he does. Anywhere he goes. Like all around the globe. Even Putin just acknowledged it. They're like, he said that the deep state cronies would wag their tail at the feet of the master now. And all this. And basically was laughing about it. It was giving Trump like a ton of props. Like all these props is straight up like he's the He's the honcho. He's the man. Like he will make it happen when it comes to peace in Ukraine. It's all what Putin's saying. It's like, damn. And like everywhere he goes, they're portraying him as a man of peace. Again, where do these words come from? A false man of peace. Where do they echo from? Biblical prophecy, man. What did they just say the other day? All these countries, well, we'll wait and we'll see what Trump says. We'll see what Trump says. Like all these other countries, like, yeah, we'll see what the powerful, almighty powerful Trump says. It's like, whoa, like, dude, it's a Messiah complex. And he's been labeled the Gentile Messiah by the ones controlling this whole thing. Just never forget that. Like, for good or bad, there's something special there. It's unique. No one else carries that or will obtain that title for good or for bad. Do you understand? But you have to be honest about it. And it's scary. It's scary, man. Knowing what I know, it's scary. Because the scariest part is when you try to speak truths on it. Like Trump trying to usher in all this digital stuff. Right? And we try to warn people, and people are like, no, he signed an executive order against the CBDC. And it's just like, he did. Are you a dog? That all they have to do is throw you a bone? You sit there and chew on it and be like, CBDC, chewing on it? Like, what? Like, you're not intelligent to see the technology that he launched with his other hand? Trump coin, Melania coin, World coin, pushing, they want this to be the crypto capital of the world, the blockchain capital, AI capital of the world. I guess you missed all that. Hello? You missed all that? Or you just don't care again? You're going to turn a cheek and look the other way. It's pathetic. Every time we burn you and get him called out on something, you want to run the other way. Somebody jumped in my feed today trying to counter what I posted about all this crap. And she was like, I disagree. 5 states are pushing anti-mRNA. And I'm sitting there like, okay, those are states. Good for them. Truly, good for them. Did you dismiss RFK's whole congressional thing? We sat in front of the whole world and sat there and told them that he's all about getting the people, basically tricking the people to get the trust back. That's all he had to say to them. He goes, we need the trust of the people back. And I look to get that trust of the people back. And what was his final words? And push the vaccine schedule. His true colors showed. Where y'all at on that? What y'all got to say about that, huh? Huh? What do you got to say about that? Nothing. Again, crickets. It's garbage. Don't want to call it out where it has to be called out. Well, I will. It's pathetic. People, you at least got to be honest. It's no integrity. That's nothing. I give this man all the time on every stream props, just like I do here tonight on positive things. And on the same token, you've got to call him out on the other stuff, or you're just not being honest. You're just not being real. Okay? And if you want to be fake and live in fairy tale land, you go over there. You're going to get blindsided when all this catches up to you. Us over here in the real, we don't going to see it coming from a mile away. And we often do. So, your man that signed an EO, banning a CBDC, flipped the page and went to another one and basically signed us up for a Bitcoin reserve and like all these things. Like, it's this more blockchain pro and ram down your throat than ever in history. And they're sitting over here garbling every time you bring it up, like CBDC still. And it's just like, man, shut up. If you ain't intelligent enough to see what's going on at this point, you're part of the problem. You're being used as a pawn against your own people and the whole thing by accepting parts of the beast system because you're just so ignorant or you just don't care. I don't understand it. I know it's not most of you listening. It's most of the ears out there that never hear it. These zombies out here that we all see in everyday life. You try to explain to them basic things about what's going on. They just don't want to hear it. You know, the way I see it, they got too much winning going on. I try to bring up these key things and like, oh, you just can't be pleased, Abu. This and that. I was like, no, I'm not stupid. Again, I hate to keep saying, but you can't just throw me a bone and I'm going to sit there and be happy about it. It just don't work that way. It's not that ignorant. I'm not glazed over that easy. I know how these fools operate. And it's all sleight of hand and black magic, I told you over and over. And they're all wizards, witches, and warlocks. But you get to know it. Anyhow, states are moving through with Bitcoin and crypto public funding. And it'll probably keep on moving from here. They're embedding it everywhere. That's all the goal ever was just to get the digital thing in, just to get blockchain in. I've warned about this since 2017. Put a video out called The Beast Blockchain right here on this channel. And that's how long I've been warning about this. Since 2017. The year I quit smoking. Yeah. And been making changes ever since, but it's been that long. Here we are. And I would have thought if you give me 7 years to air it out and to warn all these people, I could have warned enough people to change the game, but no. The sheep are going to be the sheep, and they're just going to do what they do. So it's those that care will lend an ear. But for the most part, this is witnessing a huge transformation that's happening right now. It's beginning for all of society, whether we like it or not at this point, because millions are just going to do it. You know, that's the unfortunate thing, is they won't let us reach millions. We should. Knowledge and information we got, it'd be game-changing. But that's way too scared of that. Way too scared of that. Could you imagine? Could you imagine the game, how much we'd shake it up and change things? I'd probably be killed in a week. But bring it on, man. I'm about to take the radio or something, man. We need to reach more people with the message. Arma, thank you for the coffee. Yes. Oh, shit. Well, there's a lot of scary things. Let me turn it down there. And thank you guys here for the coffees and OG Angry. Yeah, and we're in Jade Helm. Jade Helm's live. We'll touch more on that here in a bit. Everything I ever warned about a decade ago, it's live right now. Everything. Rounding the people up and all of it. Everything with the border. The whole drill focused on the border, all that area. It's It's live right now. It is. It sure is. But it was just a conspiracy theory. Now you can check it off the list as being true. Now we've got basically World War III going to spark on our own doorstep. You're about to smash the cartel and you don't think they're not going to fire back? You don't think anything's going to happen? I ain't even got to that point yet. What time is it? Oh, damn, we're past top of the hour. I'm going to keep it pushing. Always good to set these shows up like, man, wonder if we're going to have enough to talk about here tonight. End up going way over every time. There's just that much going on. We got to keep it real. Put some discernment on it. Gavin Newsom speaking to the victims of the California fires, and he basically says that you just can't rebuild the same. You have to rebuild with climate ready in mind. And he rolls out this time frame that, like, it puts it way out there. And it's got a lot of people thinking, like, imagine people just lost their home. They're like, hold on, you're telling me I can't go back and build on my house for like 5 years? This is exactly what they were just saying in Gaza. It's identical. It's identical to what they were just saying about God. You can't go in there. It's going to take, we're going to have to bulldoze. It's going to take cleanup and then testing. It's going to take at least 5 years. And then we'll get in there and we'll build real nice stuff, you know. John, thank you for the coffee. It's like, dude, man. This is, it's crazy.
You previously mentioned the timeline for rebuilding would be 6 to 9 months. Is that going to happen? And should people rebuild in some parts of California, given how high the fire risk is?
Yeah, you can't rebuild the same. So we have to rebuild with science. We have to build with climate reality in mind. We have to look at infrastructure, redundancy, systems, ingress, egress as it relates to emergency management and planning, materials. All of that is being reviewed and reconsidered, and with the latest iterations in terms of understanding and technology. And I say technology in the context of how, again, we build the infrastructure to keep it safe, to address undergrounding of lines, how we address the larger issues of redundancy in terms of systems. But more important than anything else is the need to get the debris removed. 30 days to do the hazardous waste. We want to get 6 to 9 months, the rest of the debris done. Concurrently, people are getting permits. So this is all happening, rolling together, and we want to see construction very shortly. And in the next few years, we want to see hundreds, thousands of homes rebuilt.
But I think there's a big question about how do some Californians do that, right? You have State Farm announcing that it has an average 22% interim rate hike for homeowners. The fair insurance plan for the state is just bogged down right now. Your dad, I believe, is on that plan, if I recall. People, Californians are saying they're not getting the help they need from FAIR. It's really confusing.
Well, FAIR's not a state plan. It's not a taxpayer-funded plan. It's a syndicate pool run by the insurance market itself. And it's the insurer of last resort. And it's existed back to Ronald Reagan in 1968. As it relates...
Sorry, can't take it no more. Can't listen to this dude. You can see what he said, though, that you can't go back the same. You can't go back and build the same. So there's going to be all these restrictions. There's going to be, who knows what they've got mixed up in this. How are these people supposed to sit on the sidelines and wait to even go in there? Again, there's military stopping these people from going to their homes and staying there. Like, what is going on? To that degree. That's what makes no sense. Yeah, a house was burnt down, and it's a disaster. But let me tell you, like, we had a house burned down on the road, heading up toward town here a few weeks ago. And did anybody show up and say you can't be there? No. Guess what they're living? They're living in a camper in their driveway, off to the side of where their house burnt up, and everything's right there. It's like, hold on. What the, like, duh, like, yeah, okay. Like, why can't these other people do that? Why can't they go back to the property? You know, and stay there. There's a scam going right there. And we already know. LA 2028, the whole plan, everything that we done came across and exposed. There was a whole plan and agenda laid out to redo this whole area, the whole corridor. And they benefit from it. You always got to look at who's the benefactor of all this, you know? All right, I'm going to keep it pushing. And this is a pretty big, but it's another land grabs type of scam, right? Pixie in the house, much love. And much love to Jay from the Ville. Heard from him tonight, man. Checking in on him, making sure everything was good with him. It was just good to know he's alive and breathing. All too often, it seems like these days I get bad news, and quite sick of hearing that people are dead and all this other stuff. But this Blackhawk thing in D.C., there was a lot of speculation about what could have went on. There often is with these type of crashes and ordeals, but this one was a little super suspect. It had some video footage attached. We had different angles. And this all took place rather low in the sky. Like, wasn't like thousands of feet. It was like right there within a few hundred feet off the ground. And instead of them, going to hit the ground, which most people could have still died, obviously, but it went down in the water, and a lot of those people drowned. That it's a tragedy. So, and thank you, TNF. Yeah, the next election will be, if we get there, a crazy one. If we get, there's a big if at this point. I see massive changes happening here. But this is the new data. Remember last time I told you that the altimeter data wasn't matching, that the altimeter from the helicopter was showing it being in the right area. It wasn't above its limit. It was like right at it, but it wasn't above it. The flight was a half mile off course. And when we looked back at the flight radar, we seen the helicopter, and they've never explained this. Why did it go diving erratically toward 3 other flights before it hit this one? And Trump acknowledged that it did it. It did it to at least one. He did it right there live, and said it. He acknowledged that it tried to go at the flight before it. And no one has said anything else since. It's been swept under the rug. It's like, why? Like, that shows intent to do something. You don't have all these anomalies. You don't have 1, 2, 3, all 3 near misses in a freaking row. And then he finally hits, get out of here. Get out of here. And no one's talking about it. The fact that no one's talking about it is the biggest red flag now. It should be all over the place. Aside from the fact that all this was switched up last minute, and it all took place. All these people died at the end of runway 33. Their signatures all over it. Okay? Parker, thank you to the fullest. That's just a fact. You can't deny that. The way it was orchestrated, the way it all went down, unfolded, whatever. That's how it happened at the end of runway 33. And all these other anomalies and why they were told last minute to even go to that runway. If they would have never been told that, they would all be alive. But they were told that suspiciously. Okay, so here's the new data. They're saying that a safety feature, and when you hear safety feature, you're like, what? But I couldn't believe it was this one, because there's different safety features on aircraft that do different things, but this one itself had the automatic dependent surveillance broadcast system. That's what we always call ADS-B. Okay? ADS-B. It's permitted in military aircraft. It had been turned off in this crash. Now, this was a training mission, so there was no compelling national security reason for ADS-B to be turned off. ADS-B is an advanced surveillance system that's able to track all the other aircraft and their locations, and it's significantly more accurate than radar and their tracking systems when you're flying, and that's why they used them. So, they say the helicopter had been flying around 100 feet above the maximum limit at the time of the crash, and was reportedly a half mile off course. So they say with this off, and with the pilot with night vision goggles on, that this gave a tunnel vision type of thing with no second. The only other backup was the other pilot. If the other pilot was looking at or doing other stuff or reading off of something or anything like that and not looking visually out, they're saying that they would have missed it. But I just cannot get over any of that, because you can see in the footage clearly that it was going right at it. I mean, you could see the bright lights, the landing lights of the aircraft clearly, and it was going right at it. The fact that this ADS-B was shut off is odd. So, I'm never going to get over the fact that we've got flight data radar showing this thing diving toward other aircraft. And Trump admitted it. I mean, there's certain things here, if you're an investigator, you can't just let them slide away. You got to get it. You got to bring them into the light. So that's the latest there. Yeah, I try to update as we get these details that come in. All right, let's jump into some political stuff here real quick and get cracking into that. We have a majority of the people out there that basically back up what Trump was doing with sports. And I think that a lot of people do and have the whole time. It was just something that was forced upon everyone everywhere. Like a lot of things were. Gestapo style. TNF, man. Thank you for the super chat. This next one is on Doge. It says that 40,000 Fed workers accept the buyout. Another headline said a federal judge came in and put a pause on all this. So we go figure, a left-leaning federal judge. So, in the meantime, Trump basically goes to Joe Biden and says, "You're done." Like, he's fired, yeah. But he pulls a move on him. A lot of people were like, "What? You can't do that." And it's like, well, yeah, you can. And Trump says, well, he did it to me, so I'm doing it back to him. And they're like, what? So he revokes Biden's national security clearance. That's right. Took his national security clearance and stops all of his intelligence briefings. Because all the former presidents would get a courtesy intelligence briefing. And they can call and they can try to get updated and all this other stuff. We'd seen this in the past, and thank you, Bella. So he stripped him of this. So he wouldn't get any of these details. And Trump says that this is what Biden did to him in 2021. So he's just basically getting him back. Returning the favor. So, yeah. Whatever. The guy shouldn't have any kind of immunity for nothing. Like, the Biden cartel should be able to be taken down, but it's never going to happen to that degree, okay? It's just never going to happen. This is a man, Donald Trump, again, that ran a whole 2016 run on Hillary for president. Guys got rich off selling the product, and he never even attempted it. Matter of fact, she was front and center at this most recent inauguration. Criminal cartel that he ran the 2016 presidency against, said he was going to put her in jail. Never did. She's sitting front row behind him when he was accepting, getting sworn in, all that crap that day. Well, all the presidents were there. Big Mike didn't show up. Right? So, yeah. Anyhow, whoever's behind that mask, it could be anybody. It's not the same guy. It's not the same Biden from the Obama days. They've made that clear. They're saying they're going to audit the Pentagon now. I really can't believe that. Expect a plane to hit the building here in the next day or so and wipe out the section that had all the files on certain stuff. I mean, we've been fed that one before. That's right. They're going in there to conduct a comprehensive audit of the Pentagon. Okay, let's see it. Go in, do it. Let's see. We'll see in the end what really goes down here. And look at this one. This is a big one. This is a pretty big threat on Americans. They just banned this whole DeepSeek thing, Chinese AI, because they say it's a threat. And it is. All the AI stuff is. And it has been for a long time. But look at this. They're threatening decades in prison if you get caught using this. 20 years in prison. I'm not kidding. This is the new bill brought in by Senator Josh Hawley, a Republican. It aims to outlaw the import or export of artificial intelligence to and from China. If it becomes law, violators could face up to 20 years in prison, up to $1 million in fines. The bill is called the Decoupling America's Artificial Intelligence Capabilities from China Act. And I'll keep you posted on what happens with this. But that is a steep 20 years on someone's head there. That is like, dude, like they don't give drug pushers, even murderers these days, sentences like that. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's... Hey, what you in for, man? Oh, I downloaded DeepSeek. Oh, man. Get out of here. And that was serious. That was not the Babylon Bee. I mean, that's like a setup, dude. That's... Yeah. It's not April Fool's. That was very real. We'll play a clip here. This is the Department of Education. One of the employees now blocks the door and stops Maxine Waters from getting in. And she seems to, like, lose it. Like, he just kind of plays her down. Like, nah, like, you're not getting in. Blah, blah, blah. And they try hard. You can see all their goons are out here trying to get in, but he's not letting them.
Look them in the eye. Come on, hold your face up. Look at him. Let them see you. This is him. Look at it. What's your name? Tell us your name. Give me that ID again.
Giving you the ID I showed it to you.
So what?
I showed you the ID.
You do what?
I showed you the ID.
Could you let me see the ID again? Huh?
No.
No? Will someone else ask him for the ID? Will you ask him for it? He won't let me see it again. You didn't see it. You didn't see it. They didn't see it.
Her old ass just brings up another old ass goon up here. Like, I didn't say it. It's just like, it's a comedy show out here. Like they're reshuffling and doing all this stuff, yes, but like, and there's right to have concerns about certain things, but like, you know, someone says, oh, they're shutting down the Department of Education. This country's not going to have anything. It's like, no. Like, there's going to be a Department of Education. They're going in and you see what they're doing. They're going through all these places, basically, and gutting them. And, like, that's how they're saving the money. And they're making some headway here. But, like, no, it's not like there's going to have to be some kind of Department of Education. If it comes out to the, like, that's what they're doing, and, like, they're doing away with the entire Department of Education, that should raise some red flags, man. There needs to be a Department of Education. There needs to be. It just needs to be ran right, correctly, by righteous people. That's all. So things like this, you got to kind of keep an eye on. Everyone was fine that they're going and gutting all these other places because they got these huge stories that they're bad, like USAID and everything else. And I'll get to that here in a minute, but I'm not even going to report on that one. Okay, here's Trump signs an order sanctioning The Hague. Can you believe this? The World Criminal Court, International Criminal Court, over the treatment of Israel. And it's all because they have a warrant on Netanyahu for genocidal crimes against humanity. And he's on the run. And he was just sitting next to Trump. And like, obviously, that's where we're at right now. They have a warrant for him out here globally. He can't go into certain countries because of it. And Trump now sanctioning The Hague. They've made these moves against the UN and everything. Like, they're about to, overthrow the global power structure heads. That's the move he's making. He left the WHO, pulling out of the UN stuff, flipping them the bird. Yet all the world leaders are like, oh, bowing down Trump. It's like, oh, well, what's going on here? But you seen the Trump, he's up there sliding the chair up underneath Netanyahu's butt, making sure he's all comfy. It's like, what? Like, who's bowing down to who here? Like, it's pretty obvious that it's been said Biden, of all things, I think Biden said it best. And it's an old clip, the original Biden. He says if there wasn't an Israel, we'd have to make an Israel. Israel serves our interest in the Middle East. And he just said it all. He just said it all what it was. Just flat out. And it's exactly right. So it's like, I told you about Politico and the whole corruption with the U.S. government paying MSM and other places to push propaganda and to effectively censor as well. Well, Trump is going to nuke all government MSM contracts. That's pretty big. We'll see to what degree, but as long as mainstream can do what they do and be an establishment mouthpiece, contract is a contract, but man, stuff done behind closed doors. I don't know how you're going to break these ties of control and everything else. We'll see where this goes, but Politico's getting brought down here. 97% of U.S. aid staff is getting reduced. I told you, Rubio stepped up and is heading that department. He's pretty much reducing it down to just a couple hundred people. USAID has been funding over 6,000 journalists worldwide on nearly 1,000 platforms. So not only was the government paying for everything else with USAID, but they had their own eyes and ears, basically, all over the place that they were funding. And this, I remember the story popped up here not long ago about the millions paid to Tim Pool and all those guys. They were getting. It just makes me think of that of USAID now. When I see the story, 6,000 journalists worldwide. Wonder who else is getting paid big time from the government. While the rest of us are out here getting censored, certain cats are out there getting promoted and blasted and going viral. How is that? How is that? I know how it is. I know why that is. I'm on the other end of that spectrum because I'm the real deal. And I know these cats, some of these cats that are getting paid millions out here, like Tim Pool and others. And it's all being funneled in by the beast. Period. It doesn't matter what form or fashion. It's all the same control. Do opportunities get given to real truthers out there like that? Nope. Never have, never will. At this point, it's the exact opposite. You're censored to hell and back. They'll demonetize you, do all these things to attack you. And for some of these cats, they get the exact opposite. I never could understand how, in a time of censorship and attack during the Biden regime, how someone like Tim Pool, for example, and then we're going viral and thriving and all this. How come you weren't getting dismantled like all the rest of us? Huh? Instead, you were going in the opposite direction. Well, I know why. Part of the club. See, David Icke came out and called the whole thing out on X about a month or so ago. Actually called Luke out on it. And he used to be all right with Luke Radowski. But he called Luke out, and he says, yeah, that was back in your finer days, because Luke shared a clip from when he was running the streets back in the day. And David Icke said, yeah, that's back when you were honest. He goes, before the club absorbed you. He said it flat out, and he said it best. Love him or hate him, David Icke, he said it best. And they were pals at one point, and he said it straight up. And thank you, Icke. And I seen Luke back over there trying to brown nose him the other day on the same platform, and Icke just wasn't having it. He's just like, no, like, dude, like, you're part of them now. It's obvious. Like, you don't come over here trying to grift, act like you're cool with me. That's how I took it all. And I get it. I know them all. I've known them all for years and years. I know how they are. How they all are. I don't trust none of them. Yep. You think it's going to be this and that? You think you know about a bunch of these YouTubers? You think they're this and that? It pains me when I see certain people talk about certain channels or certain people and bring them up, and they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, man, if you only knew. If you only knew how much scandalous that person is, right? How evil and deceptive that dude is. And these are big channels. I don't know, there's tons and tons. They all check out to end up being the same in the end. They're not really here for the truth. They were just here to try to get the fame and the money. That's all it was ever about. Whenever the money opportunity wasn't there, no, they didn't want nothing to do with it. They wouldn't fight the fight just to keep fighting it. It just had to be about money first and foremost. And when they got demonetized, they'd have to put up GoFundMes for hundreds of thousands of freaking dollars, and all this stuff. It's just nuts, man. It's sickening to see some of these shills out there in action. But a salute to all the real cats. And you got some real ones out there, and you got some fakes, and you live and you learn. I've just seen a lot of fakes. Come across a lot of fake people in this life. A lot of evil fake people. Here is Nancy Mace calling out some things about where our taxpayer money was going. So, again, if they were to come out and say, oh, we've got proof right here that Biden paid to have 5,000 people executed in a secret mission down in Guantanamo Bay when no one was there looking. Something crazy. Would they charge him? I doubt it.
Myself for the purpose of making an opening statement.
I doubt it.
Good afternoon. Late last year, the White Coat Waste Project exposed more than $10 million in taxpayer funds that were spent creating transgender mice, rats, and monkeys. These DEI grants funded painful and deadly transgender experiments that forced lab animals to undergo invasive surgeries and hormone therapies at universities across the country. For example, the Biden-Harris administration spent $2.5 million taxpayer dollars, $2.5 million taxpayer dollars to study the fertility of transgender mice. Let that sink in. We spent over $2 million studying the fertility of transgender mice. $1.1 million was spent to find out if female rats receiving testosterone therapies to mimic transgender men were more likely to overdose on a party drug, commonly used in the LGBTQ community to induce drug-fueled what's called, quote, chemsex. I asked my staff what was chemsex and the chemical, and I guess it's something called GHB, which is a date rape drug, and also a drug that's used recreationally. So we spent over $1 million to find out if female rats receiving testosterone therapy were more likely to overdose on a date rape drug.
Crazy. You can't make it up. it's all real. It sounds like it's Babylon, but no. This just some of the crazy stuff that they're spending money on. Trans mice. I mean, are you kidding me? Well, let me keep it pushing here. FCC's Brendan Carr launches an investigation into George Soros. Man, all the years we've called for this to happen, like this, we're not going to get what we want out of this. I can guarantee you that. And look, he's about to he don't have much time left. He's old. He literally could go at any time. At any time. He's basically handed over the keys and all the power to his son, which everyone's starting to realize and see by now. He's in all the pictures. He's at all the foundations. He's in all the things. And he's the World Economic Forum. He was George's shadow for all these years, and he's filling his shoes now and taking over. It's George is done. He's a year or two maybe or so left. If that is time short. He's super old, but he was backing a whole long list of radio stations, and they said that it was going to be illegal and he shouldn't be able to do it. And apparently there were ICE agents that were outside of certain places, and they were going to make a move. And the Soros-backed radio station that got word about this went on air and was telling everybody listening in all these places, get out, ICE is here, ICE is here. Okay? That reminds me of a story of the border, actually Hillman. I've got it lined up here in just a second, and we're going to touch on it. Remember, this story here about Soros basically using all these radio stations as a communication point, 7:40 a.m. And it was on 200 different Odyssey radio stations. So he could just broadcast they got their own special channel. I mean, I guess you could do these things when you're a billionaire like him. He's gotten away with murder, literally. But we'll see what happens there. Let me go through some Russia, Ukraine stuff real quick, and then I'll finish up with the border stuff. Zelensky extends forced conscription again and martial law again. They are hunting down their own young men there to send to the front line to be slaughtered. It is the most sick, genocidal thing. It is. It's been happening here. I mean, we're seeing it in multiple different places across the planet, but they're doing this to their own people. That's like knowing that a very bad war is going to break off on our border, and trenches are dug out and all this other stuff, and we're fighting the Chinese down on our border and Russians and everything else. And it's bad. And they're snatching up Americans out of cities and towns just like this, and shipping you down to Texas, New Mexico, wherever they need you to get slaughtered in the trenches. It would be no different. But since it's not Americans, people turn a cheek to it. But I don't. I've got to watch. I watch all this stuff with the fine-tooth comb. I have to watch the frontline footage of them blowing each other up. It sucks. And a bunch of it's these young men that don't want to die. You can even see them saying their prayers right before they die in many of the clips. Many of the clips are from drones. That the last thing you see are these guys praying before the drone hits them and blows them to pieces. Thank you there, JC Pizza. Appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. It's disgusting. It's genocidal. It's the beast. It's the beast just murdering. There's no need for it. There was no need for none of this the whole time. It's just slaughtering all these people, man. It's like a liquidation. So they're saying that Trump is going to force Zelensky to agree on a ceasefire plan by Easter. That's the leaked information. I believe it when I see it. Because Zelensky's over here demanding that they get nukes. That's all he keeps talking about. Every time they talk about peace deal, this and that, he's like, nukes, we get nukes, we get nukes. It's all he keeps saying is they get nukes. And like Russia's like, that'll never be part of the plan. Like, there's no way that your crazy ass is going to get, there's no way. It's not part of no plan. So, Trump is going to force the hand. I'm telling you here shortly. This won't go on too much longer like this. But the thing with Russia is like a global thing. And I told you with the Arctic, when it comes to the north, like Russia literally controls half of the planet up there. When you look at the map, you look down on it, half the dang planet. And they get around because they have so many icebreakers. They have 57 icebreakers to get around in the Arctic. That's a lot. 57. Dozens and dozens, right? How many do we have? 5. That's up from the 2 or 3 that we used to have. So we've made it to 5. That's not going to do nothing against... I mean, when you're in war up in the Arctic, you have to have shipping lanes cut to even navigate your warships and everything else. And you have to be able to have many different options to maneuver and to back up, to turn around, to go different ways. I don't know. It's kind of a different dynamic. But submarines are free to, under the top ice sheet there, they're free to move how they want up there. The submarines, the icebreakers, and everything else Russia's got, man, they control this place big time. That's why Greenland has been brought up so many times. It's vital to our national defense and our resources, really. I mean, so what is the talk now? NATO is talking about sending troops to Greenland? How does that work? Like, we're a part of NATO. They're trying to come up with some kind of plan to deter Trump from making a move. And I don't see how they can... I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go with this. He seems pretty hell-bent on wanting to obtain it for national security purposes, militarily and everything. And in a way, he's kind of right. There needs to be some kind of like military agreement or something, because if you don't, it's going to end up just like Panama. And because if the government's weak, whatever, China's going to end up moving in. It's either us or China at this point at these vital checkpoints in vital places around the world. China or Russia. They're on the same team, same enemy, so to speak. Look down here at Panama. You're talking decades of Chinese influence. And the good thing is here, they're stopping it. They're not re-signing the Silk Road deal with China. Panama's not, which is huge. It means that Trump's having an effect. Remember, he called up Colombia, and within 24 hours, he had them on bended knee. He's got a power he's wielding on all these places, and you're seeing it. And let me just go to the next piece here. Iran rolling out the first ever drone carrier warship. Now remember, this was mentioned, they telegraphed this when the drone showed up off our coast. Remember, the guy came out and he goes, I have information that there's an Iranian mothership off the coast. That was his words. That's what he was saying. It checked out that that wasn't the case, unless they're lying about all that, but he was wrong. That dude was flat out wrong then in that case. Because trust me, if there would have been an Iranian mothership or anything like that there, this administration would have done blown it out of the water. Trump done said that he left a letter that if they get him and they assassinate him, they are going to obliterate Iran. They will wipe them off the face of the planet. That's what he said. Anything happens to Trump, they will pound. They will absolutely, even if they fake it. They'll pound the piss out of them. Trump's played a good game for them. What would it be to have him zip off to a private island, like literally in silence for the rest of his days, and pull an Elvis or something, if they could get what they want, which is that. I don't see how you get away with for crying out loud, Trump is going to the Super Bowl. There's I don't know, some of these windows, man, I question. Anyhow, it's very real when you hear about Iranian drone carrier motherships. Yeah. They got one operational. Right there it is. We're going to see more and more of this type of stuff, you ask me. Here we go. Let's check in on the border, and I'll wrap up with this. California town exploring installing cameras to monitor migrant boat arrivals. So you're hearing about the border stuff dropping, but we've seen a spike in boat activity, them coming in off the coastline. It's one thing to come in trying to cross the border, but this whole thing coming in on the coastline, we see an uptick in Florida, broad daylight, and in California, both coasts seeing the same thing. So, yeah, put cameras up, but there should be something up. Especially if it's a hotbed area. Let's see who the hell these guys are, where they are, what kind of vehicles they're getting into. Boatloads of Chinese rolling in. And in Florida, they done busted several of them. They busted the vans and the vehicles, loaded with Chinese. Fighting age Chinese men. Come on, folks. It has been the number one issue for me this whole time. And the fact that this current administration doesn't want to say a word about it. They don't want to bring up the fact that the Chinese own stuff next to our bases. None of it. They're turning a cheek to it. And it's scary because it ain't right. They want to put all the focus on Trinidad, Iraqua, and all this other stuff, which righteously so, with stuff getting out of control. But not a word about the Chinese, not nothing? Trump keeps saying, oh, I'm really good friends. I get along with Xi Jinping really well. Just like I did Kim Jong-un. Because I stopped a war. Yeah, it's... So, what do we have here? What does it say? Homan says that Trinidad Iraqua got tipped off to the ICE raids. See, he shows up in Colorado to go to these apartment buildings, the strike teams did, to go in and get these guys. And they got tipped off. And they admitted it. Homan and them said they got tipped off. Do you remember when I said this a couple minutes ago? Who was tipping them off? Only George Soros through his hundreds of radio stations. Yep. And it worked. And George Soros is doing the equivalent of playing the last stage like enemy boss man, that is funding all these foot soldiers that were staying in this hotel or this apartment complex. And he put out the emergency alert to the places he's funding to warn them that the feds are coming, to get out of there and run. Go to a backup location. This is what George Soros is doing. He's effectively communicating and controlling illegal migrants. Let me repeat that. He is controlling illegal migrants. He's tipping them off. He's telling them what to do, where to go, all these things. Dude, that is treason. This is the same George Soros that I've been saying this about for over a decade. He's the same one that we busted sending migrants across the Mediterranean into Europe. You wonder why it's turned the way that it is now? He was the one that was behind it and funded it. He's the one that sent them into the UK. He's the one that sent them into Italy, Germany, everything that's been flipped upside down. He did it. He is the one that sent them into Ferguson, where we busted him, paying protesters, cutting them checks. That was over a decade ago, man. Like, we've caught him time and time again through his NGOs doing this crap. I remember back in the 2016 election outside of, it was in Arizona, his main woman that runs the orchestration, his NGO, I forget the name of it, but she tied her neck to a car and shut down traffic, all to stop Trump from getting to his big rally. He pays for and orchestrates all this stuff and always has. It's treason. When you're taking illegal murderers and criminals and you're orchestrating, in the open, orchestrating, like plotting like a mafia boss, where they're going, what they're doing, hiding them. Get out of here, dude. That's criminal. He lives right here in the U.S., in New York. You know, good old boy marshals, sheriffs, they should be able to find him. Ain't nobody got the kahunas to do it. If all these scared shitless people would understand is if you took down these billionaires and all this stuff, then you should be able to break up the piece of the pie and share the wealth back to where it belongs, to the people. Yeah, I bet you the people support that. Everybody get a 20, 30, 40,000 bump in their bank account this week. Wow, where the hell did that come from? Oh, we took down George Soros. We're going after Elon next. Imagine if you put an incentive on that. You know, TNF. Thank you. Crickets. All right, so Homan, which is the border czar. Same guy in control of the strike force, ICE teams. He's in control of everything with the border. And he's calling the shots and basically saying, look, it's about to go kinetic. We're about to have full-blown exchanges, big exchanges. It's about to happen. Our guys got a right to protect themselves, and they're going to. And they're like, oh, the cartels won't make a foolish mistake. They won't be that stupid, or they already have been. They're right now still shooting across the border at our people, at our border agents, at our military. They're shooting at everything. So now we have spy planes crisscrossing the area, all on the border, and now we've even got a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the Nimitz, off the coast of Baja. Dude, they're rolling in the big hardware. They're rolling in big hardware. This is the military. They have declared them terrorists. This is the equivalent of having Al-Qaeda and ISIS right there in your backyard all over the place. That's the tag that they just put on them. And the way that Homan explains this, he's right when he says this, though. Hear this clearly. They have killed more Americans than anyone on the planet in terms of cartels or a terrorist organization. How? What has killed more Americans? Fentanyl. Truly has. And I'm going to tag on there that our government's responsible, too, for letting it all come in and all this other crap because it's an orchestration. But it is being manufactured in China, and it is coming to the border of Mexico, and it is the number one killer of generations at this point. It's dropped more bodies than 9/11 and all these other things, like all combined, even though those were their own events. But yeah, more people have been been dropped from fentanyl in this war, and that's how he's putting it. They've killed more of our people than anyone, so they're going to pay the price. If we're able to go drop a Moab on Al Qaeda over in Afghanistan, then we can do that right here in Mexico. It's exactly what they're talking about. And he even goes on and says that these guys have done picked fights with the Mexican military. So they already know what to expect here. It's about to get nasty, full-blown war right here. They're moving in military hardware into position. It's already in motion and there. Like, it's about to go down, man. And I think that we're crazy if we think that they're not going to strike inside the country or anything else. I mean, let's not forget, the whole year started with the whole Tesla truck blowing up and then the whole NOLA thing that they said he was connected to ISIS. And then he was domestic terror and all that. And that more was going to come. Well, I'm going to keep it pushing here. I'm going to touch on this here. I told you earlier, Elon Musk has a whole army of robots. And he does. Whole army. All he's got to do is put a gun or a laser in their hand, and it's Terminator, and it's 1111. Much love, y'all. Since Google was forced by Trump to drop the DEI stuff and all that, stuff they didn't want to have to drop, guess what they did? They dropped their pledge not to use AI for weapons or mass surveillance. They dropped it. Meaning that they can use totalitarian, evil robots and AI and all that. And they dropped the pledge to it. So, I'm warning you, there's something ominous about this. Look, your 7.62 rounds and whatever ammunition you've got may be able to take down live beings fairly well. But against a potentially bulletproof armored bot, boys, you're going to be burning up cases. You better be coming with something different, a different tactic, and you better be thinking about this. Everyone that's been stockpiling for years ammunition for the big war. What if you ain't even facing humans? Because it's not looking like it's going to be. Cleanup crew can just be these robots. They're here. They are made. They are here. They're being sold to the Kardashians and everyone else. Like, just put a gun in their hand, just like this one, and it's over. That's what's so ominous just about this image. Just about this image here is the gun in his hand. The weapon in his hand. Telling you, man. So, yeah, things to think about. Living in a digital age, in the time of AI. Well, yeah, it just makes me wonder what's going to happen now between this moment and the next show. Got so much stuff always popping off, man. Again, I'm going to give a shout out to everyone that shares the stream, man. And makes it for these live shows, listens to them afterwards, all that stuff. It's appreciated more than you guys know. Yeah, I'm going to bring this one to a close, and I'd like to be back here on Monday, man. Just checking the chat here. Much love to everybody, as always. Peace to all. Brian, Nate, Quantum, John, Santana, Curious, Mary, Loki, E-Fit, Slow Rider, Quantum, all the mods, man. Much love. Gabe, D. White, all the crew. Y'all stay safe out there. Stay blessed. Stay praying. It makes a difference, especially anytime two or more gather and are sincere about it. There's power there. Stay safe, man. Stay smart and sharp. Any bad weather heading your way, be prepared. Whatever could hit between now and Monday. Just have a safe weekend. Keep your eyes peeled for some videos being dropped here over the weekend here on this channel. And follow me on X for the latest updates and breaking news. That's where you're going to find all the breaking stuff being shared. So, all right, y'all. Bring this one to a close. Much love. May the Most High in heaven bless all of you that call upon Him. An eon legendary, brother. Thank you for the coffees. Thank you all for the coffees. For all the support. Anyone hits the PayPal or hits the crypto links. Anyone who drops a super chat. I appreciate it all to the fullest. And welcome to the underground, all the new members. Much love, God